Today I'd like to talk about disclosure. Um, when you have a plastic surgery in Korea. I had several questions from one of the person who was thinking about having a cosmetic surgery in Korea, and he or she was a bit worried that things might go wrong, and he wanted to have a reference check. He was very being cautious. So, and I thought he had his point, but my conclusion is if you are not if you want like 100% like bulletproof reference check with 100% bulletproof contract between the clinic and you won't be able to have a surgery in South Korea. It's just that. As for the disclosure part, if people want the reference, they want to check the reference because they're not Asian. Usually the white female or male have a Caucasian, have a different type of skin, different type of conditions. So he was worried that things might go wrong. So they want to have a testimony from the clinic's past patient. And the clinic, he was going through the agency, but the clinic says no. Agency says no. I think it was probably the clinic also said no to that. There is no reference check. He can't go around asking patient how the surgery went and whether there is any side effect or you can't do that. The reason why you can't do that is because of the privacy law as well as medical law, protecting the patient. So eventually he came down to this idea that he doesn't want the contact number of the clinic's past patient who had a successful surgery there. He just wanted the clinic to ask around their old patient whether he's willing to share the news about the surgery that they had to his potential patient, with his potential patient. So it will be basically the clinic ringing the patient up who had a successful surgery there and ask her, oh, hello, this is so-and-so clinic, and I have this patient who are considering to have the similar surgery that you had, same surgery that you had, and would you be so kind to share your experience with us and explain how the surgery went. That's essentially that he was asking, and to that question, it's not feasible. It's not legally feasible. It's not allowed. The reason is the protection, privacy law, data privacy protection law in Korea. When the clinic collects the data of the patient, let's say just telephone number, the person who's collecting the data has to designate his purpose. The purpose of the clinic for collecting patients' contact number is to contact them to talk about the surgery, right? So, once that purpose has been designated, they can't use it for any other purposes, such as marketing. Or even, and that marketing in broad term will include asking their previous patient to talk about their experience to other potential patient. So they can't just ring up and say, oh, we have this patient who are interested in the similar surgery that you had, and would you be so kind? They can't do that. They can't use that information. They can't use their telephone number for that purpose. It's just not allowed. So that's the end of the question. They can't use it, and it's not feasible. So if you want the reference check, I'm afraid you are all alone. It's gonna be like a random website. There are so many apps where the people write about their experience with a certain clinic, about certain procedures, but they're all in Korean, so you'd probably have to get someone to check, just talk randomly. The clinic won't help. They're not supposed to do that, but it's like they have this app. They share the stories, their side effect, and so on. So you're just gonna get some help from other people for that reference. And that's the another one. And the other one is as for the reference check, there are people who work in that field, and they collect all the data, who is good, who isn't so good. So you might as well considering to use this person to get the recommendation. I know just a couple of people who does that. So if you want to get a recommendation for certain procedures, that the specific person knows, it's like an agency, but not like proper agency, but they just know it. Let's put it that way. The second question, I thought it was very valid, good question, was whether he would be able to get a CCTV footage. It's all to do with this worrying about the ghost doctor, on the YouTube, the person that you consulted, the cosmetic surgeon that you consulted, the famous one. They're not the one who's doing the surgery. If they employ the ghost doctor, so he was worried that the person that he chose may not be the one who actually performing the surgery. So he wanted to get a CCTV footage, and the answer to that is probably no. For the CCTV footage, it has been introduced quite recently, and a lot of doctors, I think, they just hate it. But they do run CCTV footage only for the primary purpose is just in case there is a legal dispute, and they need to disclose it for the court. And they're not gonna randomly just give up just because you wanted it, because the clinics, if they want to disclose it, they have to get a written consent from everybody who was on that CCTV, which means like nurse, the doctors, everybody, just about everybody in the CCTV footage. And it's very unlikely that all these nurses and the doctors gonna give a written consent just for the sake of giving you the CCTV footage. It's very unlikely. So it could happen, but very unlikely. They're not that desperate. The cosmetic surgeons in South Korea, really, the good ones, they're just fully booked. They're not that desperate. So they're not, even though you spend like $20, $30 US for your surgery, it's not that big a deal. They're not willing to risk everything and give out the footage of CCTV. It's not possible. So don't hope for the CCTV footage. Okay, and if you're that worried again, you might as well just not have the surgery after all. And the third thing is, will I be able to get full refund if something goes wrong? So you are bound to sign the contract even before you arrive to Korea, if you go through the agency. And there's a disclose, there's no refund after the surgery. And that's a perfectly valid clause. If it was no refund even before the surgery, that should cause some problems. But after surgery, and if something goes wrong, you can't ask for the full refund. You would have to file another claim. But for the full refund, it doesn't work. The consumer law, it doesn't work that way. If you settle in full, before the surgery, yes, you can ask for the refund, but they will probably deduct the expense that has occurred so far, like running the test, God knows what, but they're just gonna deduct something. But you will probably get like good partial refund. But after the surgery, you're gonna have to file for another claim if something goes wrong. Okay, that's that. If the surgery, the cosmetic surgery in South Korea has a good, fairly good high standard, and I don't think you really should like worry that much. But if you want to be extra careful, like very careful, ask someone who knows this industry, the doctors, and who is good, because it's like a fashion thing. It changes all the time. The doctors move from the clinic to clinic, and the people who's been working in that field for such a long time knows and keep tracks of it. So get someone to help you, to give you the good advice. I think that is my advice, which is not like that legal advice, but if you're really considering, there are people who will give you good advice on that. Thank you for listening, and if you have any more questions, do feel free to ask. Have a good afternoon.